BOMAQ Talk 2026. It's Friday, last Friday of March. And this is our last BOMAQ Talk of the month. Last Friday, last BOMAQ Talk of the month. BOMAQ Talk is a BOMAQ multimedia discussion hosted by Urbanetectonics LLC. These discussions align with Urbanetectonics LLC's vision and mission. Our vision, gonna keep on saying it until you get it. The firm's vision or plans long term are to build the best frameworks, centralized constructs that enhance economic hubs and support business ecosystems. The firm's mission or calling is to conserve business constructs and preserve business owners, managers, and administrators through the implementation of quality management solutions. That's solutions. Me. What is BOMAQ Talk? BOMAQ Talk is a dynamic platform for professionals, innovators, and thought leaders to explore the intersection of technology and business operations. We focus on helping organizations navigate digital transformation and master project management to achieve long-term sustainability. Those camel principles. Not so much a unicorn, but the camel principles, right? So our core pillars of discussion are subject matter, our format and philosophy, and acknowledging the data shift. So subject matter, we dive deep into system integration. I'm a system integrator, business automation, and future tech trends. A major focus on the 10 core assessment, which we encourage businesses to take annually or quarterly to audit their business health, and delegate effectively. We've taken ours this year, and we are working on core 5, core 6, core 8, and core 9. Core 5 and 6 are marketing and sales and marketing and multimedia. And then 8 and 9 are technology and asset management. So you can kind of put into context all of our activity in these first 2 quarters. We're in the second quarter of our 2026 fiscal year. So, um, uh, yeah, so core 5, core 6, core 8, and core 9. Um, uh, those are the areas to which we are working on. We use our own product. We use our own product. So having taken the assessment, we're providing service for our own selves. We're working on our own selves. All right. So format and philosophy, we host informal, casual discussions to share raw insights, lessons learned in the trenches. However, we don't rely on gut feel alone. We now have the honor of using AI and systematic empirical data to stress test these personal experiences. And this allows us to move past that anecdotal bias and provide you with some high integrity data-backed solutions, right? So we get better at this. We get better at this with the use of AI. And so we are acknowledging this data shift from data as a commodity, right? So if everyone can put their data in, spit out all this information, where can you begin to gain the value from that? And so curating that data and offering those items that AI can't do or can't duplicate or has in terms of its limitations is where we're going to kind of sit. And it's not a repositioning. We've actually sat there all the time. That's what BOMAQtalk has always been. Human intuition, objective, um, measurements that you can repeat, right? So as AI is revolutionizing knowledge management, we've always talked about managing knowledge This was in terms of human capital. When people leave the company, you train them, they are the go-to person for something, and then they leave, and all that knowledge that they had in that particular position leaves with them. Well, our knowledge management techniques were to put that process in written documents so that that person can go on vacation and you could still have a go-to guide as to how work needs to be done. They can get sick, they can um, leave the company, and you can still have business continuity where they were operating because you have proper knowledge management within that area. But this goes even further than that. This is indicating AI as the container of some of this knowledge management, uh, a knowledge management resource. And to now there is management activity to bridge the gap between um, human intuition and this objective, repeatable measurement. So ensuring that the business transformation is built on foundation, a foundation of facts, and not just differing stories, right? So that we can get some consistency within the systems. Considering the variation, usually the stories has to do with variations. You may have several businesses that are in the same industry and may be providing similar services, but those stories and the variation are very significant. And how you apply that knowledge that you got from your knowledge management resource um, will be tweaked or will be modified based upon that variation and how different businesses are run, even though they're in the same industry and providing a similar service, right? So that's product differentiation and competitive edge and those types of things. So, but rabbit hole moment. Let's circle back. So, who should join? Who should join? The content is tailored for business owners, managers, administrators, right? Those decision makers who are within our target market, right? That's who we um, uh, provide service for. And so this BOMAQ talk is to help educate clients about and have discussions with clients with the problems that they are facing, that we are facing as owners, a manager, right, and an administrator, and to just have an open discussion about those things, and then to shed light and give context to some of the services, products, and some of the processes and the way that we are handling things, right? So we can kind of play off of each other and glean from each other. So this is owners, managers, administrators should join. How to connect and participate. So you want to connect to BOMAQ Talk, participate in BOMAQ Talk. These are the ways. We have multitasking platforms to create the content and to actively serve you so that you can participate, right? So where to watch, Prime Place, YouTube, Urbanetectonics YouTube page. And we've said before, we're expanding to TikTok sooner than later. We have to complete the onboarding on Discord. And so we just haven't had the time to do that. There's like maybe, yeah. So we're the bottleneck. We told you last session, we have become the bottleneck. We acknowledge that we're working through that. So we'll continue to say that until it happens, right? Um, uh, so you can participate, ask questions, receive answers. When we are live, restream, you can come into privately, ask question in the restream public feed. YouTube, the chat is open even when we premiere You can ask a question there. It will send a message back to the main email. These are open office hours for all of the 12 or so groups to which we are a member of. And so we've advertised these hours in those groups so that if an owner, manager, administrator wants to connect, they have a direct time slot without making making an appointment. They have a direct time slot that they can jump on and ask a question. Beyond the streams, if you are connected to me through one of those groups, there is a vehicle, direct message vehicle within those groups. And they all have little communities and stuff like that. And you can connect with me and ask a question within those groups. I've been receiving questions in my social media feeds. So thought I should mention that. Some of the questions I will answer today actually came through one of the social media feeds. So yes, social media feeds you have opportunities to send direct messages there as well, and leave messages. Excuse me. Um, within those posts or within those platforms as well. So forgot about those. Yeah, in addition to those 12 other groups, there's all our social media feeds, and that includes every division. Every division that has a social media page has a direct message link to which will feed back to our main email address um, uh, to get that information back to us. So forgot about those. Did get questions in those areas like, oh, okay, yeah, that's true. That's right. You can connect there too. And then Urbanetectonics LLC, where all else fails, all of that's not enough. All else fails, you can go back to the main website, Urbanetectonics main website. That's www.urbanetek, the number 2.com. You can also put in urbanetectonics.com. It will feed back to the main webpage. We have that domain as well. So, and on that website, there is an AI chat. There's also a regular chat to which you can put in your information, your email, your name, and your question, and that will kick back to me. It will kick to the front desk agent who will, if they can't answer your question, send it to me. Right. Um, so yeah, want to participate? Maybe now or in the future. Maybe you listen to this video over the next 2 weeks because we're taking a break for Easter, the Friday before Easter and the Friday after Easter. So while you're kind of pedaling through there and re-listening to our broadcast because you just like, man, where did she go? Let me listen to her again. Let me make sure I got all the fine points to what she had said. Then you might come up with a question. So you could send it then as well. Right. So that brings me to when these sessions are live or premiered. Right. I'm getting a little spoiled with the premiered because I can flex my schedule, after 2. I'm kind of like, ugh. So yeah. Premiered on Fridays from 3 to 5. I presume that, folks knew that. And they're like, when does it come on? So yeah, when these sessions are live or premiered on Fridays from 3 to 5 p.m. And you will be able to see the live or video feed, the video feed on the live or video tab at the Urbanetectonics YouTube page, right? So there's tabs on the Urbanetectonics YouTube page. When it's live, it will be on the live tab, right? And you'll see restream and all that kind of stuff. When it's premiered, it will be on the video tab, right? On the Urbanetectonics YouTube page, right? And then the next question, there will be 2 video feeds. I do 1 hour session. I do 2 sessions. Each session is 1 hour in length. So you watch the first session, that's just one of 2 sessions, 1 hour. I know. Yeah. So um, you might want to watch one on Friday, maybe watch one on Saturday or next week, sometimes next week. So, because they are note takers, right? They are no, I take notes to actually give it to you. And it's if you are working through things in those areas, you definitely want to take notes and listen to it multiple times. I listen to it because we these sessions help us to find clarity of thought, right? So I'm listening to myself. Yeah, I like to hear myself talk. Somebody, you talk so and you like to hear yourself talk. I do like to hear myself talk. So, um, yeah, so the sessions help us find clarity and thought, and we listen to ourselves and we build on our own broadcast, right? As such, we want to work on what we have already discussed and come back with new insights, right? So, um, with that said, we can change the frequency and the schedule in the upcoming months, right? Because if we don't have anything to BOMAQ talk about, we don't BOMAQ talk. This intensity of our output this quarter matches the capacity of what we have to share. We got so much to share. We got so much to share. So we're going for meaningful versus consistency. So if you are a person who is used to structured, repetitive schedules, this will be a bit jarring. But we'll try our best to keep you duly informed so you can stay on track with what we're doing. But you know for sure, if we're not here, we're probably somewhere on social media. So if you get withdrawals, you can find us somewhere. All right. So in any case, just to let you know, frequency and schedule may change in the upcoming months. Already let you know before Easter, after Easter, those Fridays probably will not be having a BOMAQ talk. Okay. All right. So, all right. So, um, we've been talking about last session's uh, wealth transfer, silver tsunami, generational succession plans, right? So, and as those are put in place, we're picking up new followers. We're finding out some of the organizations to which we have been associated with for years. Their kids are coming up or their grandkids are coming up, and somehow, some way they found us. And so we're picking up new followers whose needs may be different. They're different personalities, they got different values, they got different interests. They're different people. And so uh, their needs may be different than the previous owners, managers, or administrators, right? With even within a client stack, people come, people go, and organizational shift. They shift their missions, shift their goals, shift their vision, and so that change management, this is our change management vehicle to kind of handle something that we're seeing with amongst our owners, managers, administrators, right? So you may not know me. Hey, how's it going? Glad to be introduced. So I'm kind of reintroducing myself. Yeah. And so I'm Tammy. I'm one of the managing members at Urbanetectonics LLC. I have over 3 decades leading in high pressure, male dominated arenas from architecture, engineering, construction, facilities, education, technology to ministry. I've built a reputation. It's all good. Oh, all good. Reputation precedes me. Hope it's all good. For being rough around the edges, but fiercely effective. I'm an anti-debt, fully bootstrap operator, right? So first generation business owner, right? So I didn't have anyone to they establish systems, the how to, then give it to me. No, I'm built all of this from scratch and from paying for my own experience, learning from other business owners' experience, and really diving in to communities of business owners and just learning the ropes to running a business, putting in advisory boards, informal, just to let's talk it out, stuff like that. So yeah, first generation business owner, second or third generation in ministry, maybe second generation um, uh, um, college graduate, stuff like that. But just really put the words together to say, hey, you know what? I'm a first generation business owner. Hey, I'm pulling this together. I am bootstrapping. I'm really bootstrapping. And it's okay for some stuff that I haven't experienced or that I don't know. It's okay. I had to ask questions about those things and to find information, go seek and find information concerning those things. And so it's I don't know why that was a aha moment, but it has been. It has been within the discussion when I listened to myself. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, what does that all mean, right? So yeah, I'm anti-debt, fully bootstrap operator who lives by one mantra: every project must pay for itself, right? And as a seasoned project manager of different types of work and project teams, I know what it takes to build valuable IP, invest in others, and dominate fast-paced industries while often being the only female and the only woman of color in the room. I don't just speak with confidence, I lead with it. All that is built on deep roots and intentional work towards wellness, staying in the community, and building my faith, right? So yeah, and some folks say, oh, the industries have pulled along, so they've come along, a long way now, and um, there's lots of women, there's lots of folks of color in the different industries, and I just was in a not a competition. I was speaking at an engagement where I was the only woman of color there. I'm still walking in the rooms where I'm the only woman of color. Only what was the third? I was only three other women, two other women besides myself in there, but I was the only woman of color. Person of color. So other people, yeah, there was other people of color there. But yeah, so still valid statement. Still a valid statement, right? And because I was the only woman of color actually presenting, not participating, but presenting, um, yeah, there was some dynamics with that. So um, still relevant to say, um, and still want to reiterate that, right? So our first hour session on today is called the Owner's Ledger, Profits, Pay, and Pensions, right? So we're still on the subject matter um, overall topic of giving to gain, the new currency of creative leadership. And we're going to talk about got several segments to tread through on this, and it's taking a little bit of different angle on this, right? Um, we're talking within this segment, focusing on optimizing business owner income, navigating like new transparency laws, and securing retirement for the owners, whether they're baby boomers, Gen Xers, um, uh, transitioning out of small business. And the key takeaways um, that we kind of want you to take away is um, making those differentiations and coming up with those plans, those exit plans or those strategies to optimize your business owner income, right? So um, story time. It's story time. I have a story, right? So I met an entrepreneur. I love my stories. AI can't duplicate that, right? Um, so I met an entrepreneur just the other day that was expressing to me that she can't pay herself a living wage and that she needs to go back to work to invest in her business. And the way she said it, she felt really bad about that, or like she sounded ashamed, or like this was something odd, right? And so I immediately had to encourage her that earned income will always be part of the small business journey. And, every time I say that, I get that jarring question like, I'm supposed to be an employee all my life? Yeah, you work for yourself. That's the benefit of ownership. Either you work for somebody else or you work for yourself. You will always have earned income. Either you're paying yourself earned income from your business or you're getting earned income from someone else's business activity. But either way, um, earned income is not a bad word. It is a source of income, and I encourage it to always be part of your multiple income streams. So when considering income streams, we encourage entrepreneurs to consider and maintain multiple income streams. We're constantly looking for ourselves for opportunities to increase cash flow in these 7 income streams, right? Royalty passive income through licensure programs, product sales, book sales, and class sales. Profit active income through business activity, through Urbanetectonics business revenue, and owner's draws. Earned income through wage employment and project role salaries, right? So for earned income, uh, you, I if you've seen my profile, I have um, over 2 decades or intermittently, I'll be an adjunct faculty, I'll do mentoring, I'll do all kinds of these different activities that may have earned income um, wages tied to it. Um, Similarly, when you take a project role within your business, you pay yourself for that. And that may um, or should have a earned income wage attached to it, right? So the profit income is different than the earned income that you have from your business. So there should be 2 streams there, right? So then that's 1, 2, 3. The fourth, compound interest income through high yielding bank accounts and investment products, dividend income through investment, capital gains through investment, rental income through business real estate development activities, right? So comparing these various income streams um, involves time commitment, scalability, risk, and growth potential to optimize overall cash flow. So let me um, kind of go through those in a little bit more detail. As it applies to us, this is our what do you want to call it? Our income, they would call it income stack. Everything's a stack, capital stack. This would be our income stack. This is what we are, what you see within our services and our products, and how we generate revenue. Number one, the royalty passive income. This is items like books, our classes, the products that you get from Zazzle, the books from Lulu, the classes with Udemy. Um, they're earn money on autopilot. It's passive. Um, and after the initial creation, then it's just you're on autopilot. Now, in an instance like right now, those classes need to be updated. We had over 12,000 students that have gone through either our books or classes, um, or through the products. Well, actually, just the classes alone doesn't even include books or products. But as AI is now coming on board, the appetite for that content has slowed down. We see that it's slowed down. So, and even the platform is messaging us and say, you may want to get on there and update some of your content, and that will take time. That will take time because the time that we spent to build what we have, you know, um, took time. Then it was on autopilot. But now we're coming to a point where we need to maybe update that from that initial creation phase, right? And so, and it continued for years. I think we we created the classes and the books together. So the books and the classes are uh, created together, and then the product is periodically updated um, every year. Um, but even after, and that's one of the reasons I did the books, is that the content of those books are applicable now, but going into the future, maybe the younger generations, even younger than Generation Z, will come up and they find the books and it becomes valuable for them to operate, right? So um, generations after generations can read the content and learn from the experiences that we are um, sharing today. And so when I decided to write the books, it was right at the time my grandmother had passed away. Then after that, her eldest son, and it was just like, okay, the way that I have to be prepared to pour out all that I have, and that I don't take that with me. I so the books help me to be able to do that. Um, and that's also why I immediately sharing after I learn, because I want to make sure that in the moment that I reiterate what I've this new information that I found, right? And so, or the turning points to which we are taking, right? And so it's very important in my knowledge management process to have documentation to be able to share so that I'm not keeping it. I don't become the library, and people have to check out books for me in order um, to get information. Now, granted, that's how people make money. They make money from that. But it's more important for me, for those that I'm serving, that things like these things, I had to dig for, and I just don't feel like other people should have to. All right. So there are things that I've been trained in that I could that require a fee. But this is not it. Yeah, this is not it. Right. So these are not those types of things. So um, in any case, royalty passive income, rabbit hole moment. Okay. Royalty passive income. This we that's one of our streams. Classes, books, the products, all those have a royalty coming back to us um, uh, from a third party to which hosts the content we created. Um, so the pros is the scalability and the longevity. The cons is the high upfront effort, which we're going to have to put in the, we got to carve out time to do again. And then the market risk. Once you've created it, we've had great reception of the first work. Um, Updating it, we don't know what the reception will be for the new work. So, um, but other than the published book and all the book classes and the products, other ways that we can get royalties is licensing IP. So our licensor programs, we've packaged our business development programs. That's the virtual manager, startup bootcamp, 10 core for existing, and the Smart Biz Facts for those businesses exiting. We've packaged those as licensure programs for municipalities, for universities, for incubators, those organizations, CDFIs, banks, any one of those resources. And we know that there are a lot within the business ecosystems, when it comes to business ecosystems, training small businesses, everybody is putting out information. Chambers, I mean, it's just endless. So you can be in all kinds of programs and get fragmented pieces of information from any one of those resources. And we have become one, right? But we tried to have a comprehensive program that just varies in terms of detail at each phase. So it's the same content in Virtual Manager as it is when you exit. However, the detail to which you outline that information has intensified. So um, the consistency is still there. um, and that's something that's often lacking within the different programs because we got CDFIs doing programs, we got banks doing programs, we got municipalities doing programs, business programs, the government doing programs. If you're a business owner, there you could be up every day of the week. I am there every day of the week, a program to help you with your business in some way or fashion. And the programs aren't consistent in terms of their content. So you as a business owner need to know where you are and what you need. So um, realizing that and have experiencing that, we've licensed our programs because we feel like they're comprehensive. We use them, and we feel like they're comprehensive and can be modified. But licensing those to all those organizations that are creating programs, so that there may be some consistency among them, right? And so we are a part of a mentoring program that is licensing a business program from somewhere else. And so we were glad to be a part of that because we having had this product, it's still fairly new, and just seeing how it operates and stuff like that. So when someone license the IP, so but that's an option for us, and that is a income stream to which is intentional. We are intentionally doing that. And then another way in this category is franchising. So collecting a percentage of gross sales for other people, other people, owners, managers, administrators to operate under your brand name, right? So you want to utilize brand name, franchise, percentage. We can do that when we have positioned our divisions in those brands to be able to handle that, right? So royalty income. Okay, so profit active income. Okay. Business ownership allows for leverage and scaling. The pros is that the business ownership allows for leverage and scaling that employment in a way that employment can't match, right? And so the cons of that is that it takes years of work, yeah, and capital before you see the results. So this is from the profit. You influence um, revenue as an owner, manager, administrator. You have direct control because you're influencing revenue through your business decisions and strategy, through your operations, through your decisions, and through your strategy, right? And so the higher potential, but it's a higher potential for returns. So you yield much more higher returns compared to passive market investments. So um, profit active income is a goal of business ownership, right? So yeah, we want profitability. Um, the cons is the same as the pros. Um, Revenue stops if you're unable to provide services or run a business. So if you are the owner, you don't know how to run a business, you're not running it well, you're not providing service well, then yeah, it becomes a con. That income, that income becomes null and void, right? So, and then profit owners' draws fluctuate based on business performance. And so, if you are living off that profit income and you're not a good business owner, or you're not getting revenue, or your margins aren't right, then you have that varying cash flow and you're not able to get income off profit or take owner's draw, right? So it is based on business performance. You have to be profitable, right? And so service um, examples of that for us is the fees that we earn from Urbanetectonics completing high value consulting contracts, right? So um, uh, our consulting contracts, or within those contracts, we maintain an operating margin of 65, so we can have a profit margin on the unit of 35%. So 65 and 35 is where we kind of like to sit on all of those. And that's also why we moved to a subscription model for over across the board. Because each industry has a pricing structure that's typical, or I don't want to say trending, but a um, industry practice, right? And so within all the industries that we serve, that can get really complex in terms of uh, composing contracts, bids, and those types of things. So our subscription model kind of sets the bar, set the bar across all industries or where we need to be. And it helps us to build great profit income, right? So um, then so that's the service revenue. The owners draw withdrawing cash directly from the business checking account or personal use once the company is profitable, right? So you can pay yourself from the business money out of the business check into your personal account and maintain income that way. So that's in our income stack. Um, it should be in every owner's business owner's income stack. Profit active income, intentional about profitability. All right, and then third is earned income, and this is for some reason for business owners is the big surprise that income is still in the income stack. Yeah, so this is essential for short-term stability and budgeting. Its primary source of initial capital for other streams, right? So um, the con, the bad part about this, and this is the why working for other folks, being an individual who works for other businesses in their business activity is that it's limited to the number of hours you can work, right? So there is a cap on how much you can make. Um, if you income stops immediately, if you lose your job or stop working, income is strictly capped by your salary or hours that you worked, right? So the pros about it is that it's steady, reliable flow of cash, right? Because you don't have to worry about getting clients and if they're, well, unless that's your job. If your job is client acquisition, then yeah. But for the most part, you have a role. Somebody else worries about getting the clients and making sure you get a paycheck, and all that responsibility is somebody else's job. um, and all you have to worry about is that little task that is on your job description, and that's all you do. And sometimes that's all you say, that's not in my job description. But the owner's mentality, and that is another sidebar that I can go down to. But when you are an owner, have an owner's mentality when you're working for someone else, it's a whole new ball game, right? Because you're not thinking in terms of my job description. Um, you think holistically as to how can the whole company be profitable, and that's a whole different mindset, right? So, um, but yeah, it does provide steady, reliable flow of cash, and that's why that income stream should always be in your income stack. You pay yourself a salary, you pay yourself for your roles on projects and the roles that you have in the business. So, um, uh, it's a minimal, it requires that minimal upfront financial investment compared to um, when you're doing earned income. Um, well, when you're paying yourself, uh, you have to have that profit or that upfront income, or that financial investment that you need to be able to pull from, right? So if you don't have that, then you have to go into somebody else's pool to get it, right? So examples of this is the managing member salary, right? So fixed annual salary paid to you as an employee of your own company. So if you are, whatever your role is, there should be a salary associated with that that you should be getting paid. And then bonuses and commissions paid out for project milestones and sales targets. You're bringing in clients. Every client that you bring in should be like a bonus and commission. Every uh, research and development, as you are, making progress towards goals, those milestones should have bonuses with them. Um, uh, you start saving the money, saving the company money in certain areas, yeah, then those should be payouts. Professional fees that you're speaking at industry events, and gaining brand recognition, and handling public relationships for the company. There should be some fees associated with that, right? So those are ways that you pay yourself. Yeah, boop, yeah, did that, did that. Right? So earned income should be in a small business owner's income stack. So earned income. Um, Fourth, the compound interest income. Uh, Once you start stacking, getting some money stacks, right? Put it in places where you're protecting your money while maintaining that quick access to cash, make it accessible, right? So um, the bad part about these things is that they're lowest among their returns are low, right? So when I was working professionally, um, and uh, had different vehicles that collected interest as we began to travel and took those types of things. I used to turn those over, put them into the business and those types of things. Um, uh, I found, yeah, the returns are low compared to how long it took you to accumulate that, right? So like the pros is low risk, like high yield bank accounts and CDs are generally very safe and predictable. Um, they're low maintenance, uh, zero effort once the funds are deposited. But the bad part is that the growth is very slow. So your returns are very low. And the interest rates may not always keep pace with and does not, and not always, does not keep pace with inflation, right? So examples of this is just your business savings. And there are some accounts like there's some accounts that you just have to do some research on this, but yeah, 5%, you can get 5%. I think it's the highest one that I've seen so far. If you've seen one higher than that, send me the link. Send me the link. Let me know. Send me the link. Yeah, so business savings, certificates of deposits, um, business savings earning interest on cash reserves held in high yielding business accounts or money market accounts. Certificates of deposits, locking business capital in short-term CDs to enter higher guaranteed rates, in short-term CDs to earn higher guaranteed rates than a standard, right? So the options on that. Fifth, dividend income. Um, I like the as I said, it provides mailbox money. Yeah, that mailbox money without selling the underlying asset, right? So companies can cut on the bad part is that companies can cut or suspend dividends during economic downturns, right? So so you'll have to have somebody monitor this and things like this. You need a person to monitor it when you're running your business, right? So the pros is you can get regular, once it's set up, you can get regular payouts, providing this reoccurring cash payment without needing to sell the underlying asset. Um, and it's truly passive because you don't require any activity beyond the initial stock selection. And that's how I like it. I don't like to watch it all the time. Like, you know, I just sit it there. I got stuff to do. If it does need something that needs to be watched, then just hire somebody to do that. Right? Cons, market volatility, companies' profits and stock prices can drop, leading to reduced or canceled dividends. Right? And then capital requirement, and this is the key, is that once you do find um, a dividend to which is favorable, it requires a large amount of initial capital to generate a significant cash flow, right? Because the dividends um, are uh, best get a better payout when you have a multiple, that you buy a multiple of um, that initial stock selection, right? Um, so you need a large amount of that initial capital on that. And so the examples, of course, is the stock portfolio, um, receiving quarterly cash payouts in from shares in uh, from shares or funds, right? So cash payouts from shares purchased or funds. Then distributions, paying yourself a dividend from the company distributions. You can pay yourself a dividend from like Urbanetectonics after tax profits, after tax, after tax, excuse me, after tax profits instead of taking it as a salary. So that's an option as well. So, all right, we're almost there. Got 7. So we're on number 6, capital gains income. Um, and this is noted as how many of the wealthiest people built their fortunes through capital gains income. The cons of it is you must sell the asset to realize the income, ending future growth from that specific asset, right? And so um, the tax efficiency is it's often taxed at lower rates than active earned income. The significant appreciation has potential for large one-time payouts when selling appreciated assets. The bad part about it is that the lack of cash flow. You can only realize the profit when you sell the asset. It doesn't provide regular income while holding. And then the market timing risk. There's high risk of loss if the market value of the asset drops, right? And so examples of this, um, because it's a one-time thing. So asset flipping, selling a developed property, right? So you're developing properties, you're flipping them, um, and trying to realize the the gain off of that particular asset. A piece of equipment um, that you're selling as furniture, fixtures, and equipment lots of times. Uh, Along with this next one, business sale, they will sell furniture, fixtures, and equipment separately to try to get to gain capital from that sale. And even when you're buying new equipment or you're buying new furniture, fixtures, and equipment, um, some organizations got the use of it, so they'll just give um, their surplus equipment to their employees. I remember that's how I got my first desktop. I was working for a company downtown Cincinnati, and uh, they did just that, overhauled all of the uh, computer systems, and then as surplus, they put up for sale to the employees the retired um, equipment that they were going to get rid of. And I bought for cheap, my first desktop computer, right? And so um, the money that they get back from that surplus equipment can be in this category, right? So business sales, selling the entire LLC or portion of its equity after years of growth to realize a long-term capital gain. And so this is the intention, and I answer this further along. We got a question on this. The divisions of the LLC would be considered a portion. So selling the entire LLC or a portion of its equity after years of growth to realize a long-term capital gain. So we've intentionally done that um, for future capital gains. All right. Number 7, rental income. Pros and cons. Pros for this combines monthly cash flow with long-term benefit of property value growth, right? Cons, it's less liquid. It's harder to get the cash out of it. Selling the property takes time. Selling a business takes time. Both of those items takes time, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So you have to be intentional about how you spend and how you build from the start. Or even if, we're 20 years in and we're getting re-intentional about some things and reshifting in ways, and that's okay. But uh, long before it's time to exit or time to sell, you have to have some structure in place that you're able to monitor um, um, your expectation at the end, so that, like, for owners, like at the end when they're about to exit and they're not able to exit at the um, sell price that they were expecting, it doesn't come as a surprise. Surprise! It was like, no, I put in this much and that much and this, and it's worth. There's no question about it, right? Because you've been treading closely um, your intention and your expectation alongside each other. All right, they've been building off of each other, right? And so, um, pros for rental income: has a dual benefit, provides both ongoing monthly cash and long-term asset appreciation. There's tax advantages, offers specific benefits like depreciation and interest deductions. And I talk about that in terms of uh, furniture, fixtures, equipments, and vehicles. Um, but the cons for this is they're high. It says it's a high barrier to entry, but I don't know if that's true anymore. Um, Requires a substantial initial capital for property acquisition or development. And this actually, I don't agree with this con, because I found that in some of our activities that it is easier to get a construction loan or a loan to develop property that's generating income, one that's generating income, or has a business plan, a viable business plan of projected income, than it is to get a business loan on an existing business, if that makes any sense. It is has been easier to compose a business plan for a real estate development for projected income, or find a real estate property that's generating existing income. Those packages are better received. And I say that because of the results. They came back with great results, like, yeah, we'll do it. Came back with a yes. Then any of the other types of business packages that have been presented. Um, Real estate versus business, um, a standalone business, um, found this to be much easier to accomplish, right? And so I don't see that as a con, but they it's trending and listed as a con. So illiquidity: releasing cash by selling property is time consuming and often costly, of course. Yeah, so similar to selling a business, selling assets, um, you have to find a buyer. You have to find someone who needs it like you needed it, or can purchase it based upon the value that has been placed on it. So uh, some, if I have to give examples of this, rental income, but they're examples that would be appropriate for our income stack would be commercial leasing. So something that's why we have Hotel Bank Unlimited. Hotel Bank Unlimited started out as a real estate development property that we were developing in 2011, 2010, 2011 into 2012 to the site that we were looking at. We found that it drained to mud, and so it blew the kind of project budget that we were working on for that. So translated, we translated that brand into hospitality management. But the development, we still are shopping that concept around as a luxury hotel. Um, but it has commercial retail leasing, commercial leasing, and multifamily unit leasing within that project. And all of those would be income, rental income in this um, income stack would be considered rental income, right? So it's the commercial leasing. That's retail offices by us owning the office building where Urbanetectonics LLC operates and charging business rent or charging tenant rent, office rent. And then the short-term rentals. Um, it's a hotel, so all the short-term rentals of rooms, and then multifamily, if we're going to suites, the long-term rentals for recurring monthly cash flow, right? And so if we were in and we had to learn this income stack, when we initially started out, the building that we were in, and I often tell this story about how we started in a coat closet because that was the smallest space in the building that we could afford. So they leased it to us because based on what we were able to pay at the time. And we revamped that little coat closet into our office. And when I say coat closet, it's no coat closet like, that's in a home. We're talking about a office building with a huge coat closet that could be an office. So um, the standard offices in the building, it was just slightly smaller than that. But that building, we eventually got the office next door to us, so we had um, two, like an office and a half, an office and a half, um, two areas as we grew at that time. But that building, uh, when my um, when we began to travel um, out of that city and that state, um, that building came up for sale. And if we had had this income stack already in our strategy and plan, we would have bought that building and possibly the restaurant across the street. You know, in hindsight, in hindsight, that was a perfect building for us to purchase within that region, within that price point where we were in our journey at that time. But we weren't knowledgeable about what our options were and how to go about doing things like that, right? And so um, we feel comfortable saying that now in hindsight, and to share that um, uh, is just growth to be able to show that it's just growth because we we didn't know. So because we didn't step up to purchase the building, someone else purchased the building. They still have the building. They renovated and they revamped it and they uh, moved us out. Right, they didn't move us out. But in the course of them renovating, we had to relocate. And so in essence, um, was not able to return to the building once they took over the whole building, right? So, but in any case, still love, love, love that building. The building, it's still a prime location, renovated well. went up in value, all the trappings of a good investment property, especially for first time building owner, right? And so um, at the same time that we were um, developing property for other owners, that mental model that we could actually own a building didn't hit us. to, didn't hit us, didn't even cross our mind that we could own the building, right? So it's just one of those things that you have to say, wow, yeah. So yeah, the takeaways, the takeaways. Um, as the business owner, manager, administrator, you're responsible for outlining how, why, and what generates income and setting the goals, strategy, and resources accordingly, according to that. All right. So, um, um, the other takeaway is to maximize the cash flow across your income stack. And in our case, there's 7 streams. You must focus on how they interact to build momentum and protection, right? So none of that's, and we're all about not working in silo, but getting a consensus of thought. And that applies here as well, is that based upon whatever your income stack is, um, then there is a way that that interaction can build momentum for you, you know, and it also matters what you put in it, right? So that momentum is also varies based upon what you're putting into it and the risk involved. The protection that you need is based on the risk that's involved. So, um, um, I'm going to finish up with a couple things. All right. Um, just to kind of wrap up this session, because I think we had time. When making plans and setting these income stream goals, put an infrastructure in place, put an infrastructure, qualified team, and system in place. I talk a bit about this in a previous video on Urbanetectonics YouTube page. The video is called Business Owner Work-Life Balance. That's Business Owner Work-Life Balance. You can put that in the search engine for the video, search engine, that video title, and get the information I'm about to share with you. I'm about to just kind of summarize it, wrap it up. Right. So, um, the video shows the professionals that are pertinent to achieving these goals, right? So we giving you a mouthful. That mouthful is not to be taken lightly. There's a whole group of people that have helped us come to this conclusion, right? So we're giving it to you in an hour, but it's probably taken us a decade to collect all of those bits and pieces, right? So when you find that video, you'll find it to consider advisement that your qualified team should include these individuals or individuals well versed in business law, business planning, business advisement, business insurance, business accounting, business finance banking, business tax expert, business broker, business financial planner, a business investment advisor. And I keep saying business in front of it because um, those professionals need to specialize in small business. Um, uh, when we were vetting individuals in those, and as we vet individuals in those areas, we have to continue to emphasize that they are specialized in business. Um, when they do not specialize in business, you will find that they have gaps in their knowledge base that will uh, um, hurt your decision-making ability. Because if they have limited knowledge in those areas, then they can't answer your questions. That's just common sense. And they don't know. Yeah, they can go go to AI. And like everybody can go to AI now. AI can help everyone as well. But you, as you're vetting individuals and whether or not they are knowledgeable enough in that area outside of AI resources to be able to take your specific stories and variation and apply general knowledge to it. Um, and that is 5 to 10 people, right? People coordinating over a well thought out plan, coming to a consistent thought and constantly chiming in on checks and balances of your overall or arcing strategy. And so some of these roles may overlap and it can have one person who can do more than one. Right? Like ideally, an accountant should be able to do HR, they should be able to do taxes, they should be able to do finance banking. They should be able to handle some kind of business brokerage and financial planning and maybe some investment, but that is not the case. There are uh, barriers to entry to some of those. There are barriers, I don't know, barriers to entry, but you will find that they are separated and you may have to have individuals for each piece of that payroll also, because it all has to do with numbers. You would think one person can do all of this. Nope. Um, uh, there will be folks that specialize just in accounting and bookkeeping or finance and banking or just taxes or just business brokerage or just um, financial planning and investment, stuff like that. So, and if they're in financial planning investment, they may be for individuals, but not for business owners. You can't presume that they understand the dynamics of business to be able to give you the best solutions as a business owner and not an employee or individual, standalone individual, right? So um, just look for those things as you chart your little plan. All right, so yeah, some of those roles will overlap, can have one person who can do more than one, but it's up to you to vet the individuals, determine the gaps in your plan, knowledge management, and human capital, and then to decide a given consensus of thought and how you want to proceed, right? So, all right, with that, whew, that was a mouthful. First hour. I'm sure we went over time, but I just had so much to share with you. All right, so we're going to take a break and then second hour back here, you and me, we're going to chat out something else. All right, still same topic, uh, but we got a couple other segments. I'm going to dive deep in some other things. All right, so we'll be back in a bit for this second session. BOMAQ Talk.